I'll cut right to the point. The vívoactive 3 is my new favourite fitness tracker, and that's because it takes a lot of the best features from older Garmin devices and puts them into a newer and more premium looking design. So yeah, the first thing you're going to notice when you look at the vívoactive 3 is that new design. If you're familiar with the older vívoactive HR, then that was quite a square, bulky, industrial looking, plasticky fitness tracker. This looks a lot more like a watch. In fact, it looks quite a lot like the Fenix 5, which is a much more expensive model from Garmin. Gone is the square design. You've now got a round watch face, and that's surrounded by a nice stainless steel bezel. The screen is bright and punchy, which is also a big improvement from the older devices, and that's got Gorilla Glass 3 to protect it from scratches. And around the back it's nice and flat, and that makes it very comfortable to wear. There's no ugly protrusion where the heart rate sensor goes, meaning that when you take it off you don't have a nasty red mark on your wrist. This looks like a watch, it feels much more comfortable to wear, and it's easy to forget you're wearing it, which is something you definitely couldn't have said about the previous models. It's a lot less conspicuous under a suit, and in general it's something you can wear comfortably all day, which is kind of the point of a fitness tracker. The device comes in 3 different colours, and that includes a slightly more feminine white, and that's very welcome because the older devices were very masculine. And if you want more personalisation and customisation, then you can buy new watch straps for it. And the good news here is there's no proprietary technology, it's just your regular 20mm strap. So yeah, the device looks good, it feels good, it's also durable, and it's water resistant up to 50 meters, so you can take it running in the rain, you can shower with it, and of course you can go swimming and use the swim tracking there as well. Note that you won't be able to use the heart rate monitor at the same time as swimming, and there's no open water swimming, so if you are a professional swimmer, this might not be the watch for you, but for most of us who just want to use the pool for a bit of a cardio workout every now and then, it should be perfectly sufficient. And speaking of activity tracking, this device has got it all going on. There are 15 different profiles in total. That includes all of your regular stuff like walking, jogging, cycling, and some more unique and interesting options like golf, like elliptical, like miscellaneous cardio workouts, and like strength, which I'll get to more in a moment. Of course, this being a Garmin watch and Garmin being well known for their GPS devices, running and walking, that's where it's really at. This is a very good running watch. So yeah, Garmin uses not only GPS but also GLONASS, which should make the runs more accurate, and in my tests it does seem to track my routes very well. What's also really good is just how much information you get after a run. So you get all of the usual stuff such as your heart rate, your time in different heart rate zones, your average pace, your best speed, etc. But you also get some more interesting options such as your elevation during the run thanks to the barometer, and you get your cadence, which isn't always available, and you'll even get an estimate for your VO2 max, which is very useful for seeing your general fitness improve over time. So a slight new feature that comes over from the Vivo Smart 3 is weightlifting tracking, and the idea here is that it can count reps and identify different exercises for you. This is a really useful thing in theory. In practice, not quite so much. So the rep counting even is hit or miss. A lot of the time I'll do 8 or 10 and it'll say I've done 6 or 7 or 15. So you'll have to edit it manually. In terms of identifying the exercises, I do think it's really impressive it can do this at all. And I am amazed when I do a bench press or a pull up and it tells me that's what I did. But again, it hits and misses on about a 50-50 basis. So that means a lot of the time I'll do one exercise and it'll say it's something different, or it just won't know at all. And of course, there are some exercises that you're never going to be able to track. So if you're doing a leg press, for instance, you don't move your upper body, there's no way that that can be detected. And a lot of exercises I do just won't be on there, like a muscle up isn't going to be detected by your vívoactive 3. And not only that, but a lot of the time I won't just do a normal set of exercises. I don't just do 3 sets of 10. I'll do a drop set, a mechanical drop set. I'll hold it at the end. I'll do a burn set. I'll do forced reps. And these are things you just can't pick up. I do complexes. And this is stuff that is just beyond the ability of a fitness tracker to register. So is this a useful feature at all? Well, not for me really, but for the average gym rat who just does 3 times 10 of their different exercises, then arguably it could be somewhat useful. The fact that it has this nice big screen and the touch screen means that if it gets it wrong, you can very easily edit the exercise or the number of reps. Unfortunately, if you want to enter your weight on here, for some reason it goes up by 1 and you'll just be tapping like this, so that's not terribly helpful. But yeah, it could be sort of useful for some people, and I do hope that Garmin keeps working on this because in theory, like I say, it's a good idea. One other thing I will say is that in principle, something like this takes your head out of the game, and being mindful of your workouts and being focused on what you're doing is really important. The mind-muscle connection is really important, and if you're taking ages to input your data on your wrist and you're forgetting sometimes to press start and stop, then again, it kind of takes your head out of the game and you might have a slightly less intense workout as a result. Arnie would not be impressed.
So this is the difference. So this is why when I see guys texting, they're not serious. This is Mickey Mouse stuff.
But that aside, as a fitness tracker, it is very good. It's got a lot of different options and a lot of different features. The ability to change the readout on the screen is super helpful. And you can even design your own workouts and put them on your wrist. You can download workouts. So really, it's a very feature-packed fitness tracker. For heart rate monitoring during your exercises, Elevate is back once again, and this is one of the better heart rate monitoring solutions that you can wear on your wrist. Again, it's not going to be as accurate as a chest-worn heart rate monitor, and for something like weightlifting, it's going to be particularly difficult because the contractions in your muscles actually alter the blood flow. That makes it more difficult for a heart rate monitor on your wrist to work. But again, for most people's purposes, it's more than sufficient, and I haven't had any problems with it. I think it's fairly accurate. And of course, during the day, it will monitor your health and tell you things like your steps taken, your heart rate, and it will measure your sleep and show you that. And this is all, once again, fairly accurate, and it is useful to be able to see how you're performing during the day and whether you could be a little bit more active. You get your movement reminders as usual, although you can turn them off if they annoy you, and you can have an auto-adjusting goal so that it gives you realistic step targets. It's all very good, just helpful little reminders to keep you active and healthy. It does synchronize with MyFitnessPal, and that's also very useful because if you're tracking your calories to lose weight or following your macros, then this can save a lot of time and effort for you. As a sleep tracker, it's not one of the best. Fitbit does do it better. Not only does it not give you the same breakdown of information as Fitbit does, but I find it's not that good at auto-detecting when I fall asleep and wake up. Sometimes it's very good and it'll tell me that I've been awake for 10 minutes because I needed the loo. Other times it's not so good and it'll think that I was still asleep when actually I was awake for an hour. So sleep tracking isn't my favorite feature on this, but it's nice to have it there nonetheless in whatever shape it takes. One slightly more novel aspect for health tracking and life logging is the ability to measure your stress. This should monitor your heart rate variability, which in turn tells you whether your sympathetic or your parasympathetic nervous system is dominant. In other words, it tells you if you're in fight or flight more or rest and digest more. So this is something of a novelty. My friends really enjoy it. They're like asking me, Adam, how stressed are you? And I go, oh, I'm 90% stressed. And it can be useful as well because it has this rest timer on it. So if you feel stressed and then your wrist tells you you're stressed, you can take this 2-minute timeout and do a little breathing exercise. You can make it longer or shorter. I always think that this would be a good place to put a meditation app, but I've yet to see a fitness tracker do it. I'm not sure how useful this is really though. In theory, it could be useful. It could tell you a little bit about how recovered you are after your training, because heart rate variability also correlates with your recovery. So it could tell you whether you're ready to go to the gym again or not. But for now, it's just kind of a fun novelty and it doesn't always correlate with how I'm actually feeling. In general, I'd like to see fitness trackers and companies synergize their information a little bit more. For instance, wouldn't it be good to see whether or not your stress levels affect your workout quality or your sleep quality? That's the kind of thing I'd like to see in future, and hopefully the companies that are just collecting all this data are going to be sticking that into some big algorithms and we can get more useful insights like that in future. Another slight criticism of this device and of Garmin fitness trackers in general is the app. Whilst it has a ton of data and it's really good for that, and I like all the insights it gives you and the ability to compare yourself with other people your similar age, on the other hand, it's rather obtuse to navigate. The UX is not particularly good, and a lot of stuff you're not going to discover because it's so hidden behind layers of menus. It's not as good as Fitbit's, but it does the job, and once you get used to it, it's not really a big issue. But something that often gets overlooked with these Garmin devices is that they're also actually quite good smartwatches. So you get your notifications on here and you can see text, you can even respond to text, you can see your WhatsApp messages, you can see your calendar appointments and all that regular stuff. You also get the ability to control your music playback, though unfortunately there's no music storage and that will lose at some points against competitors like the Fitbit Ionic, which can do that. But where this device really comes into its own as a smartwatch is in its ability to install custom-made apps from the community. So you can head over to the Connect IQ store and here you can download a range of different things. So there's a ton of useful and not so useful stuff on here. I've got Tetris and I've also got Tasker, and this means that in theory I can control any feature of my phone from my wrist, which is very cool. There's also custom watch faces, so you can again change the look of your device even more. Unfortunately, when I download third-party watch faces at the moment, they drain the battery, but hopefully this is something that will be patched before the watch is officially released. And another new feature is Garmin Pay, which means you should be able to use contactless payments from your wrist, because getting out your phone is apparently now too much effort. To be honest, this is something I'd like to use. Unfortunately, it wasn't ready for testing at the time that I got the review device, but in theory it should all work, and it means that, yeah, you don't have to fiddle around with your phone even, let alone a wallet. Garmin says that the device has got a battery life of 7 days. In practice, it's a bit closer to 4 or 5 days, but when you consider all this stuff it's got packed into it, that's actually pretty good. So yeah, in a nutshell, the Garmin vívoactive 3 is just a really good fitness tracker. It combines pretty much all the different features and activity tracking options that you could want, and then some, and puts it into an attractive and affordable design. This is an example of a company iterating on previous generations and coming up with something that is just the best version of what it can be. And for the end user, those are often the best kind of devices. Of course, it would be nice to see a little bit more innovation in this market, but for now, this is one of the best all-round fitness trackers you can buy. So yeah, as you can tell, I am a big fan. So thanks a ton for watching, guys. I hope you found this video useful and interesting. If you did, then please consider leaving a like down below and comment on this video. Let me know what you think of the vívoactive 3. What features would you have liked to have seen, and which other fitness trackers do you think give it a run for its money? Of course, subscribe to the channel if you want more like this. Hit that bell button to get notifications, and check out AndroidAuthority.com, for we are your source for all things Android.